Begin tonight in Broome County, where Binghamton City Council members and advocacy groups rallied Friday in Binghamton for the sake of a disabled veteran. They say he was unfairly asked to leave his apartment. 12 News' Daniel Curran spoke to the veterans advocates to learn how they say cases like this can be avoided.
Citizen Action New York, along with several members of Binghamton City Council, rallied Friday outside 42 Fayette Street. This is the address of a disabled veteran they say was unjustly asked to vacate his home. The group is advocating for the city of Binghamton to adopt the good cause eviction law. It is designed to protect tenants from retaliatory evictions due to disputes with landlords.
No one should have to live with the constant fear of losing their home. Housing stability is the foundation to thriving communities. Without it, people can't focus on their jobs, their families, or their futures.
Council members said the tenant had lived in the building for over 4 years before being given a notice to vacate due in part to the building's condition. They say the adoption of good cause eviction would prevent cases like this from occurring in the future.
Good housing eviction is exactly what is needed for tenants like the tenant here, so we don't have unscrupulous landlords letting properties go beyond repair to get knocked down. They can actually hold the landlords for accountability into investing in the property and to making the property stay up to code standards.
Binghamton Mayor Jared Cram tells 12 News the tenant has never paid rent to the city and does not have a known lease. In a statement provided to 12 News this afternoon, Mayor Cram said in part, quote, "The attempt by city council members and Citizen Action to tie this to an urgent need for good cause eviction is both misguided and misleading. Good cause eviction would offer no extra protections to a resident who has never paid rent to the city, has no known lease, and has received notice to vacate a building that is unsafe. Everyone deserves a safe place to call home. 42 Fayette Street is not that." Mayor Cram's full statement can be found on our website, WBNG.com. Daniel Curran, 12 News, Broome County.